Hey, Shalom, Mr. Brother Abad, you're here once again. Before I get started, like always, I want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushua, Bahasham, Rakha HaKadosh. Double honors to my teachers, the elder apostles of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the hopeful elect. Yeah, I briefly just spoke about this at camp, and I wanted to go into it a little more about how everybody that is corrupted doesn't begin corrupted, all right? Doesn't start off in corruption. We have to be very careful and be aware of the fact that at any moment we can be taken away from the mercy of the Lord, from the love of the Lord, from the love that we have for the Lord, and be swayed to the side of Satan, all right, and his desires and his devices. You can come into this truth sincerely wanting to serve the Lord, sincerely fearing the Lord, sincerely wanting to be a brother, sincerely loving the fact that you're a Hebrew Israelite, all right, and loving the truth. But you can become corrupted if you're not completely and always armored with the full armor of the Lord. Matter of fact, I should get that scripture too. But yes, you can be corrupted, all right? You can come in sincere and be corrupted. Now, I got this account in Matthew with Judas, because a lot of times, Judas would just be spoken of as if like he was always just a wicked individual. He didn't become the 12 because he was a wicked individual. He became, you got to think, the 12 were of the elite of brethren. You had many disciples, but the 12 were the elite of the elite. He didn't come into the 12 right by Yahushua's side, all right, being corrupted. He was sincerely a believer that became corrupted, that was corrupted by, his desires and pleasures in the flesh and getting weak over time, all right, and wanting pleasures in that moment instead of, serving his Lord, all right, throughout the long run of his ministry. All right, so you can come into this truth sincere and then be corrupted in your latter end. That's why the scriptures say, he that endureth unto the end, the same shall be saved. He that overcometh will the Lord give power. So this is Matthew chapter 26, verse 14. And it reads, it says, then one of the 12, called Judas Iscariot, went unto the chief priests and said unto them, what will you give me, and I will deliver him unto you? And they covenanted with him for 30 pieces of silver. And for that time he sought opportunity to betray him. So he betrayed Yahushua HaMashiach, Messiah, for 30 pieces of silver, right? He was looking at wealth. He was looking at, money. He was corrupted by his, his desire for gain. Not all gain is godliness, right? The scriptures say the love of money is the root of all evil. Money isn't evil. Money is a defense. If you use it wisely, money can be beneficial to you. Money can help you. Money can provide you with shelter. Money can provide you with food. Money can provide you, with some of righteous pleasures for a time. All right, of course, we're under the curse of working for our shekels, working for our bread. But money is a defense. The scriptures tell us that. But the love of money is the root of all evil, because you can't serve the creator and mammon. You can't have two gods. You can't have two lords. So you have to make a decision. Are you going to fully love the Lord? Okay, well, you can sincerely make that decision and still be corrupted if you're not constantly abiding in the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. That's why the Lord speaks about supping with him. We have to train ourselves to sup with the Lord daily. All right, just like you open your fat mouth to eat daily, well, you should be supping with the Lord daily. You should be uplifting the names of Yahweh Yahushua daily. Right? You should be praying daily, praying constantly, uplifting those names constantly, meditating on those names in the word constantly. Right? You should be supping with the Lord, taking time out to do lessons, taking time out to be in the spirit, and watch videos and read some scriptures. And it's so easy for us now because we have these smartphones, we got AI and all this stuff that's right at our disposal. See, it's very easy for you to sup with the Lord. So if you're supping with the Lord and abiding in the spirit, and making sure you're putting putting those boundaries and limits on the things that you do in the world, then yeah, you won't be fooled and corrupted by the vices of the world, because you're always guided by the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shah. But Judas was clearly not locking in like he was supposed to, so his candle got put out. Okay, that's why I brought up. Let's see if I can find it. Bear with me one moment. Where is that? Is it Ephesians, the 6th chapter? Is it? Yeah, Ephesians chapter 6, verse 11. It says, "Put on the whole armor of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil." If you don't have the armor of the Lord on, the wiles of the devil, the trickery of the devil, the witchcraft of the devil, the sorcery of the devil, the pleasures and devices and craftiness of the devil will overtake you. All right, you can come in sincerely be putting up your videos, sincerely be showing up to camp, sincerely be amongst the brothers, and then over time become corrupted. I made the analogy at camp. I gave the example of, you start a YouTube channel, and this doesn't just apply to the truth, but just a YouTube channel in general. But I'm applying it to the truth. You can start a YouTube channel and sincerely be wanting to feed the flock and edify, and be bountiful in the ministry. And then your channel may grow. You get thousands of viewers, and then you become obsessed with your view count. You become obsessed with watching your comments, and it gets to your head, and now you've become corrupted, and you've forgotten the purpose of your channel. Now you're starting your video off a certain way, to look a certain way to man, to be perceived a certain way. Instead of being locked in on glorifying the names of Yahweh Shema Shah, you're more locked in on trying to glorify yourself. You started off sincere, but along the way you forgot what it was about, and you became corrupted. Verse 12, it says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor," not half, not part, not a piece. "Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of Yahweh Bashim Shah, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand." So you gotta have the armor, man. You gotta have the armor. Now it further goes into what the armor is about, but that's basically the point I wanted on that. From there I want to get 2 Peter. 2 Peter, first chapter. I believe it's the first chapter. Bear with me one moment. It's the first chapter. Salakia. 2nd chapter. 2 Peter, 2nd chapter. Let's go down to verse 19. 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 19. It says, "While they promise them liberty, they themselves are the servants of corruption. For of whom a man is overcome, of the same he is brought into bondage." So you become overcome. All right, you're brought back into the bondage of sin and transgression. All right, because over time you become weak. That's why we talked about this at camp also, about the churches. Certain churches becoming lukewarm. Certain churches leaving off from their first love. Lord said, "Return to the first works, or he's going to take your candlestick away. He's going to put out your flame. He's going to take the spirit away, the understanding, the oil, that quickeneth the spirit." Right? You don't want that to happen, so you have to make sure you're doing the necessary things that the Lord told you to do, so that you won't be overcome and brought back into that bondage of the flesh, bondage of corruption. We were sown in corruption, all right, because of the flesh, but the spirit quickeneth. So once the Lord taps your pineal gland, wakes you up, gives you the truth, the meaning, the parables, the breakdown of the parables, breaks the seals to you, all right, drops these jewels on you, gives you the understanding of his precepts. Now the spirit is working. So even though you're in corruption, your body, your flesh is, righteous in the sight of the Lord. But your spirit can become corrupt too. if you don't feed your spirit the right things, which you have to feed your spirit the word of Yahweh Shemel Shah. You have to be engulfed in the word of Yahweh Shemel Shah. That's the standard. That's the protection. That's the bread. That's the honey. That's the oil. That's the righteous wine that keeps you healthy. All right? That's that living water. You need water to survive, right? Well, the truth is likened as living water. The Lord said, he that partake of this water will never go athirst. All right? So you have to be partaking in these things. You can come in sincere and be corrupted. I didn't want to make this too long. I just wanted to further elaborate on that because I brought it up at camp. But Lord willing, it was edifying. Until the next time,